The guests thought it was a perfect wedding. The bridegroom was Orpheus, the greatest of all poets and musicians. The bride, Eurydice, is a wood nymph. Anyone could tell that the couple was genuinely and deeply in love. Eurydice suddenly stumbled and fell to the ground. By the time Orpheus arrived at her side, she had died, and the snake that had bitten her was slithering through the grass. Following Eurydice's funeral, Orpheus was overcome with grief that the human world could not contain. So he resolved to travel to the land of the dead, a place from which no living creature had ever returned, to save his beloved. When Orpheus arrived at the gates of the underworld, he began to strum his lyre. Cerberus, the three-headed dog who guards the dead, lay down as Orpheus passed. Charon, the ferry captain who charged dead souls to cross the river Styx, was moved by the music and brought Orpheus across for free. When Orpheus entered the palace of Hades and Persephone, the dead's king and queen, he began singing. He sang about his love for Eurydice and how she was taken away too soon. She, like all living creatures, would one day spend eternity in the land of the dead, so couldn't Hades give her a few more years here on earth? Everything came to a halt right after Orpheus finished. Sisyphus stopped rolling his rock up the hill. Tantalus did not reach for the water that he would never be able to drink. Even the Furies, the demonic goddesses of vengeance, cried. Hades and Persephone granted Orpheus's request, but only on one condition. As he climbed back out of the underworld, he could not turn around to see if Eurydice was following him. If he did, she would be relegated to the land of the dead forever. Orpheus started to climb. With each step, he worried more about whether Eurydice was following him. He didn't hear anything. Where were her footsteps? Finally, just before emerging from the underworld and into the bright light of day, he succumbed to temptation. Orpheus attempted to return to the underworld, but was refused entry. After being separated from Eurydice, Orpheus vowed to never love another woman again. Instead, he sat in a grove of trees, singing love songs. There was Ganymede, the beautiful boy Zeus appointed as the god's drink-bearer. There was Myrrha, who loved her father and was punished for it, and Pygmalion, who carved his ideal woman from ivory and then prayed to Venus to bring her to life. And there was Venus herself, whose lovely Adonis was killed by a wild boar. It was as if Orpheus's love and loss had given him insight into the hearts of gods and humans everywhere. For some, however, poetry was insufficient. A group of wild women known as the Maenads couldn't bear the thought that a poet who sang so beautifully about love wouldn't love them. Their jealousy enraged them, and they destroyed poor Orpheus. The birds, nature's singers, lamented Orpheus, as did the rivers, who made music as they babbled. The world had lost two magnificent souls. Orpheus and Eurydice had loved each other so deeply that when they were separated, Orpheus understood the pain and joy of lovers everywhere, resulting in the birth of a new art form, the love poem. While the world cried, Orpheus found peace and his other half in the underworld. He still walks with Eurydice along the banks of the river Styx. They sometimes walk side by side, sometimes she walks ahead, and sometimes he takes the lead, turning to look back at her as often as he wants.